Hey guys, so this is going to be a review of Shadowhunters Season 2, Episode 3, Parabatai Lost. I have done reviews for the first 2 episodes of the season, but I wrote them up on my blog, and I'm really excited to do this one as a video because this was my favorite of the 3 episodes so far. I loved it, and so this video is probably just going to be me gushing about the episode. I only have one real small complaint, which I'll get to later, but in the grand scheme of things, I love this episode so much that that's a small complaint. What's kind of funny to me is Alec is my favorite Mortal Instruments character, closely followed by Magnus and Simon, and that's true in the show too, although to a lesser extent. It's funny to me that I'm so in love with an episode that he spends like almost entirely unconscious. I know we see him in flashbacks, but he's unconscious for pretty much the entire episode, and I loved it. I really loved that we got all of those flashbacks about Jace and Alec becoming Parabatai, because I feel like we've been told they're close, but this showed us that in a way we hadn't gotten before. I think that it's really good that we got to see that and got to see both like Alec's feelings for Jace developing and then like them becoming close and all of that. The scene where Magnus is trying to get Alec to wake up and he's desperate was beautiful, I think, because we got to see the emotions that Magnus was feeling, but also to immediately go to that flashback with Alec and Izzy immediately after, where Izzy tells Alec that one day he's going to find someone, like not to ruin things between him and Jace and to become Jace's Parabatai, because someday he's going to find someone else who loves him completely. And for that to come immediately after that Magnus scene was amazing. Obviously that made Izzy's quote like very blatantly about Malik, but I loved it. I loved the way that that was done, that whole thing. I also really loved the moment when Magnus handed Jace the stone. Jace and Magnus haven't really gotten along that great so far, but for both of them being like desperate to wake Alec up, and then I just really loved that kind of symbolic scene between them. And then to have Magnus and Clary holding hands during the scene when Alec finally wakes up, I also loved. It was such a small detail, but I really loved it. And for Magnus to be like crying during that scene too, like I loved everything about it. I also really loved how hard Jace had to work to get to Alec. We know that Alec has had a crush on Jace, and so I think Alec's feelings for Jace have been pretty clear throughout like season 1. It's not that we haven't seen that Jace cares about Alec, but just I think because Jace's kind of priorities for most of season 1 were focused on Clary, and because he did have like conflict with Alec, I do kind of feel like we didn't see how he cared for Alec quite the same way that we saw that Alec cared about him. None of that is to say that Jace came off as not caring about Alec in season 1, but I feel like this episode did show us how much he cares for Alec in a way that we hadn't seen before, because of how like focused he was to getting to Alec, and him telling Maya that she could kill him as long as she let him get to Alec first was such a wonderful moment. And him like going with the clave after Alec wakes up and like saying it's okay, what matters is that you're like awake and everything, just killed me. And also, speaking of Maya, I am so happy that we finally got to see her. I think she was great in this episode. I am so very much looking forward to seeing more of her. We really only got to see her interact with Jace and Luke in this episode, like of the main characters, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her meet Simon, because while I like always shipped Sizzy in the books and everything, I did really like Maya and Simon's relationship in the books, especially like their friendship. I'm not necessarily asking for there to be like any sort of romance between them in the show, who knows if there will be or not, but I'm really looking forward to them becoming friends. Like I really want Simon and Maya to be friends, so I'm like hoping that they meet each other soon, but who knows. And speaking of Simon, he's worried about his mom for most of this episode, which isn't surprising because that's been like an ongoing thing. To me, it's really realistic that right after becoming a vampire, Simon would be really worried about the people he's known and them worrying about why he suddenly disappeared. So I really like that they're dealing with that and like continuing that storyline. Although I got really excited in this episode that Simon would tell her the truth and that hopefully there would be a good outcome to that. And after Raphael, like, meeting her and threatening her, and then her inviting him into their house, like, I want Simon to tell her the truth even more so that she, like, knows. I suppose you could look at it as him not wanting to say anything to her now because, like, Raphael is even more dangerous to her now, and so, like, he doesn't want to freak her out. Still, I think it could be really interesting to have a storyline where Simon tells his mother the truth. This was definitely my favorite of the 3 episodes of season 2 so far, keeping in mind that it's only been 3 episodes. Like I said earlier, I do only have, like, one small complaint, which is the actors, some of the actors, not all of them, but some of the actors who played the younger versions of, like, Jace and Alec and Izzy in the flashbacks, and most of that has nothing to do with their acting or anything like that. It's just them not looking like their older counterparts, and that kind of bugged me. There were, like, a couple of them where I think they could have done better job casting kids that looked like the actors, and that kind of bugged me. That is, like, the only complaint I really have about the episode, and I did absolutely love everything else. And I'm super excited for the next episode. We got a sneak peek thing of Alec telling Magnus that he could, like, sense Magnus there while he was passed out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and, like, everything else. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Maya and just lots and lots of stuff. We'll see you guys later. Bye.